So everyone, hello everyone. This is Daniel Feltham-Lauzon from ArcherPoint, and today we're going to look at the Boltrics WMS for 3PLs, and we're going to look at the status templates and the functions around them, and how to add steps. So that's what we're going to do. So let me open a status template over here, status template list. Let's just pick the receipt because that's the one that we've been working with. And over here you can see, right, that we've seen in the previous video recording the different sequence of statuses. And you can see that we've got two things over here, right? So number of linked processes and number of steps, right? So the difference is that between both is that the step is a button, right? So it's it's kind of like a button which is on the receipt document that I can click on. And the number of linked processes is automation. So both of them are automations essentially, but these are automations when I change a status of a record. So I'm sure that you guys have seen, right? But if I click over here, when I move to the status 20 confirmed, so when I move from the previous status 10 to 20 confirmed, right? There are 6 automations that are being triggered. And what are these automations? Well, the first one, right, is that we're checking if the customer status is blocked. The second one is that we're checking for mandatory fields, right? So for example, the mandatory fields that we're looking for right here are sender code, building code, and external document number. I could have said that the order picker, for example, is mandatory, or I could add this function in another status change to have an order picker over here mandatory. Okay. We're setting the handling unit quantity of empty on receipt lines. We're copying the quantity to the order quantity. We're updating the posting date, and we're creating a trip, right? So these are all automations that are done in the background so that you guys can automate your process, okay? So let me just give you a small example. If I'm here on my receipt, let me just create a new one. So we're going to create a brand new receipt, right? And I'll put it under sell to customer number. We're not even going to add a customer item for now, right? But what we're going to do, well, let's just do it. Perfect French fries over here, and I'm going to put a quantity of 100 in the cartons, right here. So when I move to the next status, right? Oh, look at this. What it's giving me. External document number is empty, and the sender code is empty. So you see this, right? Mandatory validation fields, right, occur because of my check mandatory fields function. So in this context, if I take out external document number, for example, right, or let's just take out the sender code and we'll keep external document number, and I come back in my receipt, right, and I want to move to the next status, you see it's only triggering and validating for external document number, right? So it's not validating for the sender code. So this is kind of like how you can parameterize or configure, right, different automations and validations throughout your process so that the correct information is entered at the correct moment. So let's just go ahead and I'll put a PO number over here, right? So PO 12312. And as I'm going to move, you can see the order quantity is blank, right? And remember that we have a over here copy quantity to order quantity. So as I move, right? Oh, you see over here, this was copied. So the quantity was copied to the order quantity, right? And that was part of my automation. So it really allows us to make sure that the good information is inputted at the right time and allows us to make a couple of different automations, okay? Now, how is this all configured, right? Well, that's a valid question. So for example, right, if I go from confirmed over here, I've got 6 functions, so 6 automations that are triggered when I move to the confirmed status. Over here, I only have 2. So if I click on 2 over here, right, I have update bulletin date, fill in the arrival date time. But you know what? I want to add another check on the mandatory fields, right? So for example, I can add a function. So what we have here, as I'm going to click here, is that we have a library of functions, And these are automations that our whole network of 3PLs have requested, right? We have a number of functions over here that allows us to pick and choose from so that we can do all sorts of automations, right? So you see, we've got, this is the whole library, okay? So we can look at check vendor on cost lines, mail, right? Do some emails, add some revenues and costs, automatically generic check mandatory fields on document containers, right? So all sorts of different request booking, approve booking, so all sorts of different functions over here that can be applied in all block, customer block address, right? So that can be applied in different situations. So if I look at check mandatory fields, right? Well, I have this one, right? Check mandatory fields on the address. I also have it on the document header. I can have it on document lines, on detail lines, etc. So let me just choose this one, the 7.5, right? And I want to make a mandatory field. I want it to be, I want to have, for example, the arrive date time, okay? Over here. Okay, so I want this to be mandatory. This I will put 500 for the sequence step. Yes. So it's going to check if the date time is there before. So arrive date, oh, I'm just going to delete this, right? And I'm going to go ahead and next status. And so you see over here, since it's blank, it's validating over here and it's stopping it, right? So I just showed you essentially how we can change, right? Arrival date times. Do you want it to update? Yes, I want to update with today's date, right? And you see it's been updated. Okay, so I showed you how we can choose a function from our library and associate it to a status change and have that trigger so that we can validate any mandatory fields along the way. So yeah, so that's pretty much it on status functions. So stay tuned for the step functions and the steps.